That's probably your best version of the intro yet.
The Swedish Chef version of now recording.
Yeah, I want the strong bad version. Now recording. But yeah, we're the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I'm Jay, joined with my co-hosts Christopher, Christian, and Dan. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello there.
Every time.
Every time. 100% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah.
And hey, where can they find us at on social medias and stuff?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or whatever other platform you use to get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube, and you can find some of the Grumpy Dungeon Masters streaming on Twitch Tuesdays and Thursdays. Did you guys finish Grounded 2, or are you doing something else?
I think we have another day or two of it, but we're basically at the end, yes.
Yeah,
a little
we have
more
to
Grounded 2.
Yeah. We have to fight the end boss again.
Then whatever's next. And on Saturdays, you can find Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher streaming his Waterdeep 5e game, Worldborn Dead.
And I have started prep on my annual Strahd Must Die Tonight game.
Oh yeah, it is almost October, isn't it?
Yeah. And being as the group did successfully gather all the treasures, defeat Strahd, and then stake him to the heart or whatever it was and cut off his head while he was in his coffin, I have to have something very special planned for how he comes back. Yeah. Because I've kind of like had the lore of it be like he progressively gets a little bit stronger each time, you know, if he's not defeated. And then you just like two-rounded the guy, so yeah. It's gonna be very interesting.
They're gonna chump.
Now you just make the thing that their mystery is now to find Strahd. Not to kill him, but it's where is Strahd? Like, where's Waldo?
Oh, shit.
Well, I'm working on some special guests, so that's going to tie into the game this year.
And at the end, he just busts through the walls of Castle Strahd like the Kool-Aid Man.
I mean, he just phased through them.
Oh yeah!
But it's for dramatic effect.
Yeah, dramatic
effect.
That's
true.
So I got a question to start this off with for you guys. I have a question every week, it seems. But the question this week is, what do you call it when a campaign ends, but everyone is still alive, but they ended in failure? Like, when everyone dies, it's a TPK. We all know that's what TPK means, total party kill. So what do you call it when a campaign ends because of player decision, but doesn't cause any of their deaths? Is there a term for that?
Scheduling problems?
Yeah.
Scheduling problems, yeah.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Total party fail, kind of, I guess, TPF. That kind of makes sense.
TPF, that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've all had campaigns that have fallen apart midway through for God knows whatever reasons. I don't think there's technically a term for it other than, failure.
Let me tell you a little bit of a story of what happened in Adventure League this week. So I've been running through the new anthology book, Dragon Delve, and it's pretty okay. Each module by itself is fine. I have no issues. I have some issues. Overall, each individual module that stands by itself is perfectly fine. However, there's really no through line story that takes you from adventure to adventure to adventure, like Keys from the Golden Vault had, or even Candlekeep Mysteries had. And they didn't really have a solid story to go through. They had but it had a good enough plot saying, "Hey, you're going through these books." Or with the Golden Keys, that's the one I actually ran. It's like, "Hey, you're part of this organization that's thievery and assassination, political assassination. You need to go do X, Y, Z for us. Here's your mission impossible statement. The recording's going to blow up. Do the thing." For Dragon Delve, they have you jump to chapter 10, which is out in the middle of the desert of Toril, somewhere in that massive desert.
You mean the Anarok?
Yeah, Anarok. Where you meet a mage. Well, they don't even say it's there. It's a desert, you know. So you meet a mage called Eldamir. Eldamir is chasing after a bunch of bandits who have stolen an egg that she refers to as the brazen egg. And when you stop the bandits, which is a total chump of an encounter because they want level 1s to accomplish it seems. She says, you were destined to get this egg and have it be in your hands. You must help me hatch this egg and use it to fight this ancient blue dragon named Anthrodusk. And so, in order for you to hatch this egg and empower it, I need you to take it to these individual dragon hordes. And from there, every time you let it bathe and incubate in the dragon's horde, it will grow stronger. So that's the through line story that they kind of like presented as a full campaign. So I figured it worked for Adventures League. Here's Eldamir saying, hey, I found the next dragon for you. The first one is a dragon called Death at Sunset. It's a adult green dragon. Go find its horde. And players find it. It's already dead. There's a green wormling that's its child that's left there. You save the dragon from the evil elves that are like raising it. And you let it bathe in her mother's horde, which is now this baby dragon's horde. Chapter 2 is you go to
the wait. You don't kill the baby green dragon?
You can. One group did, one group didn't.
Okay.
It's can. You don't have
to. It's a green. It's evil. You got to kill it.
The next one was a golden dragon that was in the Feywild. It's a wormling as well. When you find the baker that has it as like a pet, kind of fellow companion, fellow kids, it's missing. You find out that some other baker had stolen it and kidnapped it, and it was using it to bake its goods. So you rescue that one, you bring it back, and you let that egg now bask in the gold dragon wormling's horde, which is a giant pile of cinnamon buns.
Oh my god.
Chapter 3 is you have to go into a temple that used to be of Orcus, but previous heroes from 100 years ago defeated all the Orcus cultists in there. But now the Orcus cultists are back, and you have to beat them again and find the dragon that's hiding in there. And when you get there, like weird things are happening, like they're destroying statues to Orcus, they're painting the walls and stuff. And it turns out there's a silver dragon hiding in the Orcus statue, giving them commands as Orcus. So you beat up the bad guys, you stay in the silver dragon's horde, you're fine and dandy. And here comes the one that unfortunately had a TPK, or TPF as we assigned it. It was For Whom the Void Calls. There is a I believe brass dragon that is out in the astral sea. So somehow the players get there. I had Eldamir hire a spell jammer for the players. So they got into the spell jammer. They flew out to this asteroid where this brass dragon was supposed to be. They start making their way through it. It's kind of like a prison holding cell training area kind of thing. It really had mixed themes. But when the players arrive, they're telepathically greeted by someone or something that is imprisoned inside the dragon's horde. And it's a bag of holding. The bag of holding's name is Kelfron. We just call him Kyle because it's easier to try to repronounce Kelfion each time. So Kyle is this bag of holding that's in this brass dragon's horde, and he wants to escape, and he asks the players to help him. Well, the players need to get to the horde anyways. So they work their way through. They find a pass card that lets them open up the doors inside this training cell. They fight some mimics. They fight some Modrons. They pick a fight with a Githyanki Knight. They're level 5, by the way, so that Knight was just effing them up until they surrendered to the Githyanki Knight and found out that this is actually a place that was a training ground for the Githyanki at one point in time. But they eventually meet the Brass Dragon. They have a conversation with him. He is willing to incubate the egg for them for the box of silver that they had found in the lair, because he didn't know that it was there. So, hey, give that to me and I'll incubate the egg. And they're like, oh, you also have a bag of holding named Kyle. We need him too. He's like, that's going to be 2,000 gold. The Githyanki Knight is like, wait, hold up. A sentient bag of holding? I want that. So the Githyanki Knight pays 2,000 gold to get the sentient bag of holding. When the Githyanki Knight gets it, I have them look at it for about 5 minutes and then giggle to themselves, kind of just chuckle, and hand it to the player who really originally wanted it, which is one of the players. I think her name is Ariel. Or that may be her player's name or her name. I can't remember. But she wanted the bag of holding. She's also the one holding the egg. So they get the bag of holding, they get the egg. The player, now with this egg that now has these green and silver and gold and now brass flowing magics around it, takes the egg and says, for safekeeping, I'm going to put it in the bag of holding.
Bag of devouring.
Don't get ahead of me.
All right.
And so she puts the egg in the bag of holding. She sticks her hand all the way in there. It tries to grab her. She pulls it out and she goes, Kyle, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. Why'd you try to eat me? I didn't. Thanks for the egg, by the way. It was delicious. And she's like, what? She reaches back in and tries to pull her in. She escapes again. She's like, Kyle, where's the egg? I'm like, gone. I ate it. And me and her had this conversation with Kyle. So now that the egg is gone, the players kind of realize, oh my god, this isn't a bag of holding. This must be a bag of devouring. And Kyle's now eating the egg. What are we going to do? I was like, well, you can go back to Eldamir and you can see there's another egg that Destiny wants you to have so that you can imbue that with power, or you could end your adventure here and we could start something else next week.
Or you could have sent them on an adventure to get a ring of acid immunity so that they could climb down into the bag of devouring, get the egg, and then climb back out.
I could have done a lot of things. I left up to the players. They want to try the new starter set. But fair. It does say that any creature or animal or vegetable placed into the bag of devouring is lost forever. It is devoured. Its body is destroyed. And I understand. I can whiffy it as I want.
More so, I remember very specifically going through an entire ecology of the bag of devouring.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that to me, forever, that's how bag of devourings work, whether it says otherwise or not.
Yeah, but
but your players wanted to move on. I get that.
Yeah, people weren't feeling these adventures. I will say that.
After having sat here and listened to you talk about 4 of them, would not have.
Don't sound good.
I would not have been feeling any of them either. As soon as you said that it rested and gained power by sitting in a fucking batch of cinnamon buns, I was done. I was out.
Well, you were.
I was done from the beginning because this felt very much of this is a railroad adventure. This is a theme park adventure. There is only one way to achieve victory. You have to follow the steps that are done in the thing. So you're not really having an adventure so much as you're just literally following the gumdrops along the trail. This is not
which works
you're
for
making
decisions.
Sure, but it's not necessarily the most entertaining thing.
Yeah.
No.
The Feywild adventure, which is of all the ones that I played through, that one was the weirdest. So essentially, just to kind of run through that real quick, It starts off as you're dropped off in the Feywild, and you find a cottage that's burning, that's on fire. But you're also in Candyland at the same time. So melting, I guess, but on fire. And you put all that stuff out, and this cottage that was on fire was actually because of some reason. You're not really sure why it was set on fire. You can't find any evidence of it, though the old lady living there, who's a lich for no apparent reason, thinks that it's probably the gold dragon wormling, and advises you to go check out the baker. And she brings you to the baker, and the baker goes, "No, I don't know where he is. He's been missing for the past couple days. That's the hoard that he sleeps in all the time, right there. That giant stack of cinnamon buns, and he hasn't come home." So the players right there just go, "Okay," and just leave the egg there for an hour, pick the egg up, and go home. So their through line adventure doesn't work with the one shot adventure they have here. But my players knew that, but they still wanted to rescue the gold dragon wormling. So like, okay, let's go find the gold dragon wormling. They get into the dungeon, and there's this massive like first floor, which like the top floor of the building has like 4 or 5 rooms, and there's like the outside barn and the outside like bathroom stalls and like the stables, and there's an underground prison area that has like the candy mummy that I talked about a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But you walk in through the front door, and you go down one hallway, okay, without going in any other doors. There's just a baby sitting there that you can easily, persuasion your way through. There's the land boss. There's the gold dragon wormling. You can beat him up really easy. You can grab the wormling and leave. You don't have to go anywhere else or do anything else. Like, you literally could just end the adventure multiple ways without going anywhere or doing anything, just by walking in a straight line. It felt really weird. And I had to change everything around to make it flow better, but I don't know.
Everything about that adventure just sounds weird and wrong.
Well, there was a cool trap in it that if you got hit by the trap, you got turned into it was like a log roller, like a bakery pin. It fell down and ran over everybody. And if you get ran over by it, it took like 1d10 damage. It's not terrible for level 3, but you were turned into a gingerbread man permanently until you either beat the green hag guy at the end or had someone use like remove curse or dispel magic on you. I thought that was neat.
I got nothing.
It's a silly place. Can we move on? I don't even need to hear about this book or module anymore to know that I'm glad I didn't buy it.
Yeah, but hey, you did buy the new starter set, and I know you wanted to talk about that.
I did.
Me too. You go first.
Shut the fuck up.
I said you go first, fucker.
Oh my god.
This guy.
This fucking guy, right?
Heaven forbids I have topic on a podcast.
All right. So, yeah, I know I pretty much was with all the rest of the guys other than Waples. Said I'm not really interested in running any more 5e stuff, and also don't really feel like giving more money to WotC on kind of the unimpressive nature of the products they've been producing. Also, how ridiculously expensive things like the Forgotten Realms new campaign guide, player's handbook, whatever the hell they're calling it, where it's like, I don't know, $80 for like a 144-page book, but wait, there's more. If you pay extra, you can get some digital content that features your favorite vampire elf from Baldur's Gate 3 in it. Yeah, really not interested in that.
He's called a Vaddy. He's a vampire daddy.
Sure, man. But you know, I've got a kid. I eventually will probably run the starter set for him, and I was underwhelmed by the last starter set that came with 5th edition. The module wasn't bad, but the starter set itself was underwhelming. I think I've actually posted a picture of the 2 starter sets side by side, and it's kind of hilarious the difference of what you get. So the 2014 starter set comes with an adventure, like you do. It comes with some pretty basic ass character sheets. They just look like D&D 2014 character sheets with some character information filled out on them that you can kind of flesh out a little bit. And it comes with some dice. The starter set rulebook is basically just the SRD, your basic classes that you're going to end up playing, and the Adventure of the Lost Mine of Phandelver, which is a fine adventure, not a bad starting adventure. A lot of people started the adventure. No shade on that one. But that's all that was in it.
Let's take a moment and say that is an award-winning, for that year. It got a ton of accolades as for being a fantastic box set, award-winning, game of the year kind of thing. It's pretty substantial.
Anytime I hear award winning, it literally means nothing to me, because who's handing out the fucking awards and who's judging this stuff?
Other game designers. Typically, it's at Gen Con. I mean, Ennies. I mean, I wouldn't scoff at Ennies. Like typically, they're handed out by actual game designers that either won awards before or veteran game designers or whatever. But we've talked recently about like what other starter sets have gotten you, like for example, Dragonbane or Daggerheart, where you get just a ton of stuff that is more than enough that you need to run a game, probably run an entire campaign. Not really need pretty much anything else. And I was wondering how WotC was going to kind of respond to that, and I got my answer when I picked up this box set, and was actually very surprised for $50. And again, I already said what's the original starter set, which is not much, but it's enough to run an intro adventure. But the new starter set, let me see what it actually says on the side. And I actually didn't really believe what it said on the side here because, well, it's WotC. But the contents include a quick start guide. It's just basic overview of the rules, a play guide, 3 adventure booklets, and the 3 adventure booklets are basically the 3 parts of the Keep on the Borderlands adventure, which is Caves of Chaos, Keep on the Borderlands itself, and also the Wilderness Adventure guidebook, essentially just random encounters in the wilderness. 9 double-sided poster-sized maps, and I was thinking, oh, it's just going to be like 8.5 by 11s. No, they're fold out like 2 by 3 maps, and they're double-sided, and they're actually really pretty. They're very nice, gridded maps on one side, and then you have on the other side you have like really cool 3-dimensional maps of the Keep on the Borderlands itself. A really good overland map of the Caves of Chaos. Like it is actually quite nice. Some of these are actually nice enough that you could probably frame them. Like the Keep on the Borderlands map is actually really well done. And in addition to all that, it comes with 5 different handouts, which are just really nice props that you would have at like when the Castellan of the Keep invites the adventurers to come help them at the Keep of the Borderlands. A little flyer for the provisioner and the trader there that sells random stuff, so it looks more in play whenever you I guess when you end up going, this is obviously meant for new players, but you could definitely play this as a veteran player. And it's got like a little flyer that has like acids for sale, antitoxins, ball bearings, healer's kits, drums, flutes, lutes, violins, rope. The trader has different types of useful weapons. He has a rapier, spear, longsword, maul, shield, full plate, splint armor, breastplate, shield. You have the sacred services over at the church. You get a flask of water for 25 gold, healing 50 gold, revival for 2,000 gold pieces. And then you have the menu from the Drunken Dragon. But again, it's something you don't necessarily need, but it's kind of cool to have. But in addition to all that, you have even more stuff. You have tokens. And I don't mean like, a little page of tokens. I mean, there's probably enough tokens here for definitely running at least this adventure, but you could probably get away with using most of these tokens again and again and again. And they're appropriately sized tokens. So you have large tokens for like an owlbear, a hill giant, a gelatinous cube, looks like a purple worm maybe. That might be purple ankh egg. I don't know what that is. And there's different tokens for like things like a cart they might carry along, webbing, things for whenever you actually defend the keep on the Borderlands from the eventual assault. Spoilers for a 40-year-old module. And it also has like little stand-ups for the different player character options that are available. And it looks, if you look at it just on the way it's set up, you could mistake it for just being a board game, but it is definitely not. It is definitely D&D, and it feels like D&D from what I've read through all of this. But I will say that as a brand new DM, I'd probably still feel overwhelmed by all of this. But it does kind of simplify it down for you. It gives you like 3 easy steps for if you're the dungeon master. 1, flip through the play guide. 2, choose an adventure setting. Just choose one of the 3 booklets and read its first 2-page introduction. And if you're first time playing D&D, the Wilderness booklet is probably the best place to start. Then followed by the Keep on the Borderlands, and then followed by the Caves of Chaos. And then you gather your adventuring components. So the adventuring components, they've got an entire pamphlet for combat tracking, for HP, initiative, etc., and so on. They have cards for all the monsters. They have little cards that you would hand out for new players that basically has it's the D&D cheat sheet that you would have for a new player, which explains attack, dash, disengage, dodge, magic, ready action, search action, study action, utilize action. But all the cards for the monsters, not only do you have a card for the monsters, so you don't actually have to pull open the monster manual or pull up the stats in the booklet. One, it has on one side a description and also a picture of whatever the monster is that you're fighting. So if it's Carrion Crawler, which is the large monster, I couldn't figure out what it was earlier, Copper Dragon Wormling, a Knight, Mimic, Owlbear, etc., and so on. But there's like, I don't know, 60, 70 of these cards. And in addition to that, you have spell cards for all the spells for 1st through 2nd level that a cleric, druid, or wizard could cast. So, those spell cards that you'd have to pay extra for during 2014 D&D.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing, except like they just give them all to you in the initial set. So, like, I'm sure you can buy the additional cards for additional money, but I mean, it's nice just to kind of have that sort of thing, especially for a player who's not familiar with the system, doesn't know where to look in the book, etc., and so on. But there's magic item cards, again, stuff that you don't necessarily need, but it's cool to have because people like when you find something. It's like, hey, yeah, whenever you end up killing these bandits, you find 2 sets of half plate, set of leather armor looks nicer than the other one, and a rapier, and you can just kind of throw the cards out, and this is what you get. And that way, people know exactly what they have and who not Jay wrote down something, Chris wrote down something, but 3 sessions later, we don't know if we have 2 sets of half plate or 4. If you have cards, not really a question. And it also comes with dice, and also has it looks like 30 or 40 NPC cards, like of the different NPCs you meet at the Keep on the Borderlands, named NPCs. So you have Cornflower, the little NPC halfling barn hand that you end up meeting, and her husband, who's I think the gem merchant. But it actually, I don't have anything negative to say about it. I
mean, for
I'm sure somebody else might have other commentary, but I think that if I were to be running this for new players, I think this would be a good place to start.
My only complaint on it is that it decided to Keep on the Borderlands again. I'm sure that's great and all, but the last set already did it. Change that up.
What do you mean the last set already did it?
The 2014 one, like that was Keep.
No, it didn't.
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
That was Lost Mine of Phandelver.
Oh, right. Okay. I keep hearing the 2 names, and I'm like,
no. The Keep on the Borderlands, like they only did this one time. So
yeah, and then never mind.
And I will say that having never played Keep on the Borderlands in 1st edition, I was very happy when my buddy converted Keep on the Borderlands for 5th edition years before this happened, and that was literally our first adventure as those characters in Greyhawk. So I don't know. I'm already feeling nostalgic about it. And that was only like 5 years ago. So
It's fair. I mean, yeah, for $50, it sounds like you get a whole lot of stuff.
it really is. It really is. Like you could probably run, I don't know, 4 long sessions or probably 8 to 10 short, like 2 to 3 hour sessions out of this.
Yeah. I'll let Chris throw in his 2 cents on this, and then I want to talk about some other starter sets from days of yore.
So I don't know how good of a beginner starter set this will be.
Okay.
Because there is so much there. Like of the starter sets that I've used, I still really like the 2014 one. In 2014 one, as a DM, you're given the adventure. You're like, hey, this is how the game is played. Start them off here in this tavern. Yes, it's generic. Here are 2 NPCs that you will know. You're being hired by this person, the group is, to go to Fandelver. Here's the first encounter. Goblins jumping you on the road. Here's the cave you have to go in that they go to, and if you skip it, the NPC you meet in Fandelver will send you back. There was a through line story introducing people, even the DM, and how the game was played to the game. This is a very opposite of that, and it may work more for some people. It wouldn't work for me. I'd get too overwhelmed if I was brand new with this. I wouldn't get overwhelmed now, but I'm still kind of sitting here like, I don't know which one to start my new players with. Do I'm going to start them at the keep? Do I'm going to start them in the wilderness?
But it literally says which one to start with. If you're
I know, but
it literally says that.
Right. But I looked at the wilderness stuff, and there's not a good through line, and I don't like the encounters to start it off. I don't like the caves. The very first cave that they send you in that you're supposed to clear out, like if you're brand new first level party, first time playing, is the kobold lair. And it's okay. There's the kobold that meets you. He's kind of indifferent. And you can beat it up or not. And there's a couple more kobolds off to the left. There's a couple more kobolds off to the right. And in total, there's 9 kobolds altogether in this cave. And a copper dragon wormling, who it even says here, if the players die, have them wake up outside after an hour with a hit point each. I just feel like that's lazy. If you're going to throw a bunch of players into this unwinnable scenario, and it's pretty hard to win against the copper dragon at level 1, don't do that. But there is so much there. I really like it. I can compare it a lot to the 4th edition starter set, which pretty much came with everything that this box comes with as well. It came with the maps. It came with a couple of those big cardboard tokens that you were talking about. And it came with a good adventure. Its adventure was very similar to the beginning of Fandelver, where it's like, hey, start the players off by you're already on your way to this village. You're protecting this cart full of goods, and then goblins attack you. Go to the goblin cave, kill everybody, come back. Oh my god, Black Knight. So it started off kind of the same, and I kind of feel like that to me is the starting of D&D, just because that was my start to D&D. But it actually had this very good kind of like almost like fake playthrough of the game written out. Like, hey, player 1, it's now your turn. What do you want to do? Player 1, oh, okay, I'm an archer. I want to go pull out this bow and shoot this guy. And it had that as a description of like how to kind of go back and forth between the play. That was really helpful for me as a DM when I was starting out to kind of like get a feel of what the game would be like before playing the first game. So I think all 3, that I've played with, they all have very good positives, and they all have some negatives, but I don't think any of the negatives are too bad to say that they're not all good. I think Perkins, him and Crawford are the lead designers for this as well. So I did see that. And Perkins started with the 4th edition starter set and the 2014 starter set. So I don't know. Like, I'm interested to see where it goes. It is definitely more open world than the Fandelver one was, and I'm hoping that it's not too open world for brand new DMs not to get lost in the sauce kind of thing. But we'll see what happens. When
I think the
I bought
fact
it
that
twice, by the way.
that it is open world or sandbox is a good thing, because if you can learn to play that style of D&D game, first you'll kind of you're being brought in on a good style that is reminiscent of the old school of D&D, of how D&D used to be when you first encountered the first edition version of Keep on the Borderlands. This was the way it was. You weren't held by the hand and told to go what to do and given the means to get there. And, it was, all right, here you are. You're at the keep. Go explore, listen to some rumors, find some work, figure out what you want to do, and pick a direction and go. So I think that's great.
And
But
I
it's
think
it's kind of like when my dad was teaching me to drive. I learned to drive on a stick, because if you can drive that, you can drive anything.
Same.
And I think it's the same kind of thing here. Is like if you can learn to play, and this is the way people used to learn to play. If you can learn to play here and learn to take your own initiative, figure out your own ideas, pick the kinds of things that you're interested in, you'll be a better player, because you'll learn to not just wait to be spoon-fed by the DM. You're an active part of the game, the story. You're not just sitting there saying, "All right, DM, what do next?"
Yeah,
It teaches good skills.
And honestly, if you learn on a railroad, you're going to expect to play on a railroad and expect to run a railroad at all times. And what I mean by that, for I guess people who don't understand that, is that there's only one way to go. Everything is a one-way fucking street, and one thing leads to the next, and the next thing leads to the next, and essentially it's just a series of encounters and things that your party's characters are reacting to. But at the end of the day, like, it's essentially a novel that you're not even using a choose your own adventure. It's a novel that you're playing through. Whereas an open world and more old school thing would be, yeah, you could end up in the cave against a dragon at level 1, or you can choose a different cavern, or you can choose, I don't know, act like you're actually the characters and have a little bit of fear when you see that there's 9 silhouettes of fucking kobolds that want to kill you ahead, and just back the fuck out of the cavern and go to another one. Just,
the other,
you don't
the other one has an owlbear.
Yeah, I mean, some of them have an owlbear, and some of them have fucking goblins. Some of them has a fucking minotaur in it. But I mean, that's how it was, and that's how it I feel like it kind of should be. The fact that like you said, there is the bit of hand holding there at the end of the kobold lair, of like, oh yeah, it's a copper dragon. They'll wake up with 1 hit point at the end of it, or blah blah blah. That's a kind of a 5th edition kind of kid gloves thing. Definitely would have had that in the 1st edition version of this. But, I mean, at least they tried. It's one of those things, like, it's when it gives you an option. You don't have to take that option as the DM. You don't have to take that option as the PCs. You could do what you literally did as in your game, where was a total party failure. All right, we're going to start again. It's a learning adventure. It's the starter adventure. So
I think it's a good precedent to set that, hey, you are active in the world. The world is just not there for, to cater to you. There are things that are more powerful than you. And,
right.
And there are things it's not, because right now, 5th edition, most of 5th edition D&D is built with, you just kill your way through everything. There is no need to do anything other than engage in combat in every room by room, clear the level. That's all you have to do. Every encounter, every challenge is designed to be catered to your level, and it's all designed so that you can fight your way through it.
No, but that's where the Phandelver box set was better. Maybe I didn't. So when you have your beginning of thing, you're on the road, you fight some goblins, go to the Goblin Cave, and now you're in Phandelver. Like that's just like the first intro to the game. This is like the mechanics of how things work. This is how you dungeon crawl, and you're done. When you get to Phandelver, you have a whole town. You got to go out and talk to people. You get different quests. You have the main quest story, but you have a bunch of side quests as well too that kind of like pop up here and there. And there's also like 2 or 3 routes for the main quests that you could take. You're given many open world choices. In fact, one of the first quests you get is from some lady at a well who wants you to go return her amulet to a tree. If that's the first thing you do once you get to town, I think you're level 2 after the Goblin Cave. You're level 2, and that's a banshee. And TPK, you're done if you piss her off. So like, I just think Phandelver did it better, where like it had not so much the hand holding, but it had that really solid. Here is you coming into town as a first brand new player. Here's your brand new world, and explode out from there. I just didn't see that this set had that. I'm fine with the open world.
That's what you do. You start. You start at the keep. And then, but it's even better because instead of you being just some NPC telling you go fetch this for me, it's just okay. Where do you guys want to go? Do you want to go out and explore hexes? Do you want to go talk to people and get information? Because if you want, you can just be like, what is that? A mountain in that hex over there? Let's go see what's on that mountain. And you just go.
And the keep itself it's a small town. It really is. They have named NPCs for you to interact with. They have motivations. Everybody's doing their own little thing.
Nothing in the keep sends you out to the cave or the wilderness. You can go 1 through 5 all in the town, and then you can do 1 through 5 all in the caves, and 1 through 5 all in the wilderness per se. As they say,
that's right. Nothing needs to send you out. That is your initiative. That's the whole point. Is that if you're waiting for somebody to tap you on the shoulder and point you at the quest, you're kind of missing the point.
No. I just want I want an A to B story. I don't care where they go in between, but there's no end to the story other than the gala.
There isn't.
There is an
A to B story in Keep in the Borderlands, 100%.
Only the keep.
Even apart from that, when you're playing a sandbox style game, there isn't a designed story. The story emerges as the PCs explore the world, as they make decisions about what they're interested in, which factions they want to engage with, which people they think are evil or they find worthy of opposing, and then you build the story together as you go, as you see where the PCs find interesting things and what they want to engage with. You don't just say, well, I have this sort of story, and maybe you can side quest off of it, but you really have to go do the story and get to this end goal. There shouldn't be a specific end goal in a sandbox. It is, where do you guys want to go? What is your interest? What are you trying to accomplish? And then letting them go.
And that's why I said, I think for the starter set, like any adventure book, there should be an overarching A to B story with a good amount of sandboxing, not a massive amount of sandboxing with no relevant A to B story.
I disagree. I think that's fundamentally, if you have a set story, that's the thing. If you have a set story, you're not in a sandbox at all.
But I don't think a starter set should be the campaign setting book. I think a starter set should be an adventure book.
I mean, I learned. I think me, Dan, and Christian, we didn't have some set stories. We learned sandbox. We learned hex crawl. Yep. Like that's how we started.
Yeah,
right.
But
I never really hex crawled, but I definitely learned in a sandbox.
Sure. Yeah.
More because I think my brother had picked up some adventures, but they pulled pieces from. And like friends had also run other things, but like there was never any just set adventure. Like, hey, we're going to go level 1 through 10 and trying to figure out who the big bad guy is, and then finally defeat the big bad guy. That was never really a thing.
Well, even then, those old modules, and we plan on talking about Death's Ride later. Death's Ride is a very good example of what we're talking about, because it, as a short module, does have a little bit of a story, but it's you can basically just fuck off and not do the story if you want.
Yeah, that's why the whole term module, and that's why usually they were short and small like that, because they were not meant to be a whole story for your game. It was meant to be something you did, something that you could insert into a hex in your world that PCs could find and then engage with however they want. Some of the ones they might join the villain and do the stuff. So, but it was never meant to be a story. It was they might find, but they also, you might insert that module and you might see the evil temple and they just go, nah, we're not going to go explore that. We actually remember that we saw some weird like standing stones over on a hill in the other hex. We're going that way, and then you just go. You don't worry about, oh, I had this story or I had this, because it doesn't matter. If the PCs don't want to do it, you just follow them. And then the story emerges as you go by what they get interested in. Because eventually they will get up to some weird nonsense. They will make someone angry or someone will make them angry. And you kind of will build your villains and your opposing forces that way.
Yeah.
And I get that. And like I said, I agree. That's how a good game should run. I really do agree with that. I just don't think I think it's too much for a starter set.
I don't at all. That's how I learned how to play. That is because if you start them out on there's an A to B story where you just follow the path, even if you have some choose your own adventures.
I'm not saying just an A to B story, because
that's literally what you said.
Well,
not just. I said, when you get to Phandelver and you have all those stories going on, you're not really forced to go railroad straight to the next place. You're allowed to go and breathe and meet the townsfolk and do whatever you want to do. You know, you can
side quest. You can do side quest.
Yeah,
it's not all really side quests too, because it all does eventually tie into each other.
Well, there you go. That means it's
like if you go and destroy the Green Dragon's Keep and everything that's up there, well, that area is no longer a threat, and now there's more more trade coming into the town, and the town gets bigger. It is. They did release that during like the MMO mindset of the world, but that's what a lot of new players are. They want to know what the objective is, and they want to go out there and get to it.
Only because they've been trained on railroad and that stuff. If you teach them to play the game in a different way, they'll have a different understanding. If you've only taught them to play, you have to go to this story point and you have to follow these things, then of course that's what they think it's about.
One of the most important aspects of D&D that I think has been lost in 5th edition specifically is exploration and discovery. And
that's doesn't exist.
That is something that I think this box set thankfully is trying to bring back. So I'm not going to shit on it, and I'm not going to shit on Phandelver. I mean, Phandelver I think was good for its time, and definitely a good introduction. Waples, get back to us when you've actually run Keep on the Borderlands and tell us what you think.
I'm stuck at the point where I'm trying to figure out what's the best place to start at, and I don't think it's the wilderness. I don't think it's the caves, because just dropping them into the caves and saying do something. So I think it's the keep and establishing the keep first, and let them see what they want to go through from there, and then may just spend all their time in the keep, what have you. But the problem is I've been discussing with another DM about this. Is like, I can't run Adventures League in the same style as like you can just come and go whenever you feel free, because it's going to mess everything up in this exploration style. Like, I need 6 consistent people who are going to invest as much in this story as I'm about to invest in it. So it doesn't really work for AL. I'm trying to figure out how to make it work for AL.
That actually sounds like the opposite of what I would think, because Western March styles where you're just exploring, those are perfect games for drop in and drop out. Not the storyline ones where you have a huge storyline are the ones that are hard as hell when people don't show up.
If you don't know what the hell's happening, you're like, okay, I missed 3 sessions. What's going on? Oh shit.
Yeah, but if you're just exploring, you're just basically running one-off adventures a lot of the time. So that's perfect for somebody to just show up, hop in, and between games, they're at the keep.
I'll give you 2 suggestions, Chris, and this is kind of along the lines of the way you would have started it in 1st edition. is either you start them at the keep and just say, hey, you are an adventuring party that has arrived at the keep. You've heard there is, this is on the border and there's adventure all around, and set them off. Or you literally just start them in medias res and say, hey, you guys are adventurers. You've set off for these caves. You're at the entrance to the caves. What do you do? And then let them go. And you just start the adventure in process.
If I do that, they die.
Well, then they die and they make new characters. If they die, they die.
You can give them a little preface of like, hey, we're running this. This is a little more in the old school. These tell them ahead of time. Your encounters are not balanced. You will run into things that can instantly kill you. Make intelligent decisions. Discretion is the better part of valor. Give them the kind of prep that they need so they know what they're going into. And then let them go and let them try to make good decisions. Let them be creative. Free them from the shackles a little bit.
I literally said those words to my players this weekend because we're playing the Caverns of Thracia, and what I told them is some of these encounters are not balanced. Feel free to run away.
Yeah, no one knows you ran away except for you.
Assuming you are able to run away and survive it.
Yeah.
And also part of the old school is that, a part of this whole exploration and unbalanced encounters thing used to have a thing where it wasn't just every monster was waiting in a room to kill you as soon as you entered. Like if you enter a room with something, it just combat ensues. That's a very 5th edition thing. You used to have a thing called like reaction rolls. And this is where like charisma was actually useful because you could get bonuses to manipulate the reaction table. Because sometimes you might run into, I don't know, a weird manticore, but maybe the manticore is just sad for some reason because that's what you rolled the reaction rolls. And it gives the players to interact. You can interact with almost anything in the old school. Sure,
sad manticore is sad.
Yeah, something like evil, but it wasn't all about just this thing. You entered a room with an owlbear, and now you're fighting. You entered a room with some goblins, now you're fighting. You entered a room with a minotaur, now you're fighting.
Just a quick side tangent. There, one of in Foundry, one of the better token mods that I have has it as an option, where it will randomly assign some kind of like feeling or emotion to the token as you drag it out. So I could toggle it on and drag out like a bandit, like 5 bandits. And like 2 of them may be angry, 1 of them will be sad, and 3 of them will be drunk.
That's awesome.
And so like I've turned that on, and just when I'm like, usually when I prep a map, I turn it on, that I'm filling up like the yawning portal, and just like fill it up with a bunch of people however I want, and I can set it to whatever I want. Mm-hmm. Pretty great.
But you kind of, if you do that, you can kind of set the tone of like, especially if you run into like, let them run into something weird, and then if you give them a little bit different of not immediately roll initiative, but be like, hey, this thing looks at you and says, what are you doing here?
And then let them
kind of, they can go, oh, maybe we can talk to this. Maybe
they handle that in the
adventure
a little bit. They handle that in adventure a little bit. I only read a couple of them, but going back to the Kobold Slayer, once you go into the entrance, there's a guard nook there. So it says a kobold warrior keeps watching this nook. This guard is initially indifferent towards the intruders, but is also naive. Rather than alerting the other kobolds, when it spots a character, it marches towards them and asks them what they want. And then you can influence them, charisma, whatever. And then when you get to the other areas, it also says like, oh, these kobolds are indifferent towards you when you enter with them.
Yeah, because
even if you're holding the bloody head of your other friend. The kobold, the copper dragon whirling is indifferent towards you and all other creatures. Like,
because Keep on the Borderlands it's a 1st edition module, so apparently they kept some of that in there.
Yeah. The Steam methods are indifferent towards you. It's a Nothic indifferent.
Part of it. Because in the original Caves and Chaos, you actually had different factions that were competing with each other. And so they were a lot more concerned with what the other groups in the caves were doing than some random explorers that came through.
You could pit them against each other too.
Yes.
I know we stumbled at like level 2 into gnolls that were going to beat our asses, and we're like, maybe we fight against the orcs with you guys, and then we killed them at the end. But it temporary allies, right?
Yeah.
The Nothic is indifferent towards you. The gnolls are hostile.
Okay. See? But if he made the right charisma check, he might have turned him.
Yeah, that's part of the interaction. Like things, you can reduce a hostile thing to indifferent, or you can with your successful check. So you might be able to, maybe the bard runs up and plays them a cool song, and they laugh and they get a little indifferent, and then you say, "Yeah, hey, we're here hunting orcs. You guys know anything about that?" And they'd be like, "Oh, we hate the orcs."
Now,
And then,
according to this, you have to kill all but one gnoll, and then with that last gnoll, you can influence them with intimidation to make them indifferent. I don't like this because it's telling it, unlike what you just said, which is awesome, and I'm perfectly fine. And that's how we play.
Chris. But Chris, do you really think any of it in your group would try to do that, or would they just kill the last gnoll? It's something in there for the people that think to do something like that or want to do something like that. It's not saying you have to do it that way.
In my streaming game, my players would do that. And
just murder or intimidate?
No, they would intimidate. Okay. But the Adventure League people, the random people,
the randos,
the randos. I have 6 of them all shouting at me what they want to do at the exact same time.
Fantastic.
Shadow Dark Initiative, go around the table. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? But also, just like I say, if you want to run something like this, give them those prefaces, give them those forewarnings of, hey, this is not like normal. This is not balanced. You will run into stuff that can kill you in one hit. Think about that when you run into these counters, whether combat is the right answer or whether talking is the right answer, or run away, and make intelligent decisions. If you give them the warnings, if you foretell the stuff, and when they run into stuff, give them clues even as they observe and stuff. Like,
listen,
that can tell them. Just tell them whether I flat out, hey, these guys look hostile, or these guys look like you can talk to them. Just give them the information and let them make decisions.
I thought I foretell that this bag of holding was not a bag of holding. I had the Githyanki Knight investigate it for 5 minutes. He chuckled to himself evilly, and then hand over 2,000 gold object to a player. But I guess I failed at that.
Yep, that's a little too much, a little too deep. All right, let's move on. We're got it almost an hour. We may have to shelve some stuff, but
talk about your other starter set and how great it is.
Well, I don't know if it's great or not. I don't have it, never owned it, but I found it very interesting. So in 1983 is when the Red Box edition came out for Becmi. For anyone who's not familiar, Becmi is Basic, Expert, Companion, Master, Immortal. It was 5 box sets that would take you from level 1 up to level 35 or something ridiculous like that.
And I want to say I had no fucking idea what you guys were talking about in our Facebook group. You're going, Becmi this, Becmi that. I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? What the fuck is Becmi?
How the fuck did you not know? Like, you've been around us enough. You should have known this.
Well, because you spell that, you don't spell it like Becmi. You spell it like BECIMI or some shit. And
that's
caps.
Becmi.
And I'm like, abbreviation. I don't know what this is. So I had to quietly Google it, but I still couldn't figure out what it was.
So there were 2 editions. There were 2 editions of Dungeons and Dragons. There was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which was the Gary Gygax version of it, and then there was Dungeons and Dragons Basic or Becmi, which I think was Arneson's thing. That's a whole other thing.
That was Holmes and
Holmes and Moldvay.
Yeah.
They put them together, but I think it was via Arneson for licensing and making money, etc. So apparently in 1991, I think this would have been after Gary was out, but they released a Dungeons and Dragons Basic starter set, and it's this big box, and I actually have access to the contents of it, or I can see what the contents were. But it had a read this sheet first, a 64-page rule book. It came with a DM screen. It came with 48 fold-out figure sheets, which are those stupid, shitty fold-out miniatures from back in the day.
Oh, man.
Yeah, nobody likes them. Fucking the tokens they do these days are way, way better. It came with...
Sorry, real quick.
Wait, is this the black box?
I actually link in our Facebook group. I put a link there. Yeah, the black box.
Yeah, the new and easy to master Dungeons and Dragons game. Yes, that's the black box.
Yeah, I do want to say too, Jade. Do you remember the 3rd edition starter set that I bought?
I don't. We'll have to talk about that too.
No, we talked about it on the podcast a while ago. Your memory's just shit. But I found the guy's resume inside of it and everything.
I remember you finding somebody's resume in something.
Okay.
I didn't.
Yeah, that was a 3rd edition starter set. Hey, the 3rd edition starter set came with the character sheets, the adventure, how to play, and physical fucking minis.
Oh, that's how many?
We could cart enough to run the whole adventure. It was like 12, 15.
All right. Well, so anyway, this thing came with 50 accessory adventure sheets. It came with a fold-out dungeon map. It's called Zanzer's Dungeon. Came out
Zanzer's Dungeon.
Brief pause. Which box are you talking about?
The black box, the top one.
Yeah, this one is called the black box. It's often colloquially referred to as the black box. It's called the new and easy to master Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yeah, and I'm going specifically over the first printing because the second printing is slightly different in what it came with. But the first printing came out with a fold-out poster, and it came with 6 dice. You can see I had linked the image for you guys, but a complete set of dragon cards that teach you to play in fun and simple steps.
Okay, I see what you're talking about now. I always thought that was a fucking board game. I remember seeing that in the store when I was a kid.
I did too. I always thought it was a board game.
I was very confused because if you look on the back of the box, it looks like fucking Hero Quest.
Yeah,
it does. But I had that at one time. And then I got a kitten.
Oh no!
No.
So the great part about this, and I never knew until the other day when I came across it. There are 3 expansions to the black box.
What?
And if you scroll down right below it, you'll see the Dragon's Den, the Goblin's Lair, and the Haunted Tower. And each one of them has multiple. I think there's like 2 or 3 adventures or large things in them. So just like the Dragon's Den, it comes with a read this sheet first, a 16-page book, The Wild Dragon Den, a 16-page book of Wormhaven, a 16-page book, League of the Red Serpent. Every one of those 3 is an adventure. Then it comes with 72 more figure sheets that nobody fucking likes. Character reference card, 3 different fold-out maps, heavy cardstock tile sheets, 128 of them, and strip of plastic figure stands. There were 12 of them. Apparently they changed the figures at least. Maybe these aren't the fold-out ones. And some polyhedral dice. I'm noticing the price too. The expansions were like $17. This is like 1991 or 2, but
so I actually own the Goblin's Lair and the Dragon's Den, and I picked these up thinking they were board games back probably in 98, 99, something like that.
Lucky bastard,
at Odin's Comics for like $10 or something like that. And I opened them up and like couldn't make heads or tails of them. How the fuck these are board games? I'm like, fuck this. I'm gonna shelve these, and they've literally been sitting on my shelf for 25 years now. So,
well, I will.
Hey, there you go. They're Becmi.
Yeah, lucky you, Dan. They're actually kind of pricey. The Haunted Tower is several $100s worth of pricey.
That one I don't have. I have Dragon's Den. I have Goblin's Lair. I actually just saw them today. That's hilarious.
But I love the fact that they had a starter set that they actually released 3 expansions for, and every one of the expansions had 3 different adventures in it. So neat stuff. And most of us thought it was board games.
Yeah, it's in a board game shaped box. Like box sets. Like I would have been assumed to be in like a 9x12 box, like you would say, like the Forgotten Realms box set or the Hollow World box set or something like that. That's what I would be thinking it was. But also just by looking at the back of the new and easy to master Dungeons and Dragons game first print. I mean, look at the back of it. It looks like a fucking board game.
Yes.
And maybe that was the point in order to sell to people.
Probably because you're learning Dungeons and Dragons but not learning Dungeons and Dragons. You're playing a board game, and at the time that would have been new because D&D was not a board game back then.
Yeah, it was a gateway to Satan.
Yes, it was a gateway to Satan back then.
A gateway to fun.
Yep. Even I love on the back of the expansions in the lower right corner. Please note, to play the 3 dragon adventures in this game, you must own the Dungeons and Dragons game.
That's hilarious.
Mommy, can I play Dungeons and Dragons? No, Timmy. You'll commit suicide.
It does say the
Wow.
bonus board game is playable immediately, so I don't know how that works.
Bonus board game. Okay.
I mean, define play.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, there's so many new and interesting things that are very old that I never knew about. I love going through some of these old sites. This was on TSR Archive is where I found it. But anyway, we're up over an hour. Dan, do we just want to save the Death Ride till next week?
Yeah, we'll do it next week. Not a big deal.
But
I mean, we pretty much just talked about starter sets this week, so
yeah.
not bad.
So I got one last little thing I want to talk about. Won't take more than a couple of minutes. I started running Caverns of Thracia a couple of weeks back. One of my players was absent when I started running the campaign, so he joined in Saturday night. He showed up. So rolled up his character. He's playing a wizard, and magic in Dungeon Crawl Classics is absolutely fucking fabulous. So I had told all the other players they were on a boat for a month heading to the island of Thracia. So on a boat. So he rolls up his spells God damn you. Rolls up his spells randomly, and one of them he got was Find Familiar, which takes a week of casting time. So I'm like, okay, fuck it. You've got a month. If you want to go for it, go for it. Something you can do in Dungeon Crawl Classics as a wizard is spell burn. You basically destroy your physical stats temporarily to get bonuses to your casting. So he gave himself like a 2 strength, a 2 con, and a 2 dex. And he will slowly heal those up over the 3 weeks that he's on the boat. So he basically max casts this fucking Find Familiar and got a pretty awesome familiar. The thing is, when you cast Find Familiar, you are required to roll for corruption. It's absolute requirement. You must roll for that. Corruption in DCC can be kind of wonky. It's usually not that bad. He ended up rolling a greater corruption right out of the gate and now has a third eyeball in the back of his head. So first level wizard walking around in this town with another fucking eyeball in the back of his head. Definitely any peasants are going to be a little fucking weary of this guy.
Yeah, they might be.
Yeah, just a little.
What's up?
Is he walking away and staring at me? What the fuck? Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that little story out there. I love Dungeon. I love DCC Magic so much.
I remember watching the Ghostbusters cartoon when I was a kid, and they needed an infiltrator at elementary school because a ghost had possessed a teacher. They didn't know which one it was. And Ray is going undercover as a janitor. And one night he's mopping the floors. And one of the teachers walks by. He goes, "Hey, Mrs. Whatever. How you doing? Having a great evening? All right, see ya." And the teacher walks by. And as she walks by, the back of her head opens up and an eye pops up and looks at him. And Ray looks at the eye. He just goes, "Oh, yeah." And just goes back to mopping. Like it doesn't even register that's a weird thing. And whenever you talk about having a third eye in the back of your head or whatever, I was like, that's what I think of. No one's going to care.
Yeah, no.
They're just going to go, whatever. He's weird.
Yeah. For somebody who's seen that many ghosts, everything is just another Sunday. Yeah.
All right. Well, next week I'm going to ask, think about this. What is your favorite mega dungeon?
Mega dungeon. Oh, man.
I haven't ran really any mega dungeons. Thracia will be the first one I've ever run.
Well, one you've run, one you've just read, or one that you've just heard of that has held your fascination?
Okay. This will be
Will
fun.
my life be an appropriate answer?
No.
I'm running it every day, and I'm losing terribly.
All right, I'm going to
Yeah.
show up with my favorite dungeon mega dungeon I've ever been through, and my favorite mega dungeon I've ever run. So
Awesome.
Word. All right.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening. Bye, Craig.
My life is a living dungeon.
dungeon.
No.
Hey, Psionics.